Hello, everybody, to our next virtual classroom all about Azure and Power BI data automation. I start now with my presentation. I think it takes just 10 minutes. If you have questions, it's no problem, you can ask. So today I start with some customer stories. It's a very nice one with a very famous company, with Bosch. Bosch reported to us that they saved more than 80% of time and costs of the data warehouse projects in the IT controlling. They know it very exactly because they have done the project twice without automation and with AnalyticsCreator. And yeah, this was a very nice story from Bosch. Another customer, My Muesli. I think everybody knows this brand, and I hope you like also My Muesli. Me too. Yeah, My Muesli started 3 years ago with AnalyticsCreator. They have really no idea about data warehouse projects, and they started with a beginner, with a student of the IT studying. And yeah, he learned by himself how to grow up by the data warehouse with AnalyticsCreator. Of course, it takes a little bit longer because you have no experience, but this is a story that you can see that also beginners can work with AnalyticsCreator and to grow up really nice data warehouses. Now they have the data warehouse in every department of the whole company. Oh yeah, and one thing is important. They had just 4 days training with AnalyticsCreator from our side. And yeah, this was the whole project from our side. Everything have done the people by themselves. Yeah, next story is about a customer. We can't show the logo, but it's also very nice. They had a SAP system. I think they had 2 SAP systems, and they wanted to grow up an ingest store or a staging layer in Azure. And they have done it with AnalyticsCreator. You can't believe it. It was just some days, and they estimated some months to do this. Yeah, with AnalyticsCreator, you can really do this very, very fast. There is also a video on YouTube where you can see this case. It's called the same 20 times faster creating an ingest store. Yeah, what is AnalyticsCreator? AnalyticsCreator is a data automation technology for experts and also for beginners. It works by generating source code instead of programming manually. AnalyticsCreator orchestrates the full life cycle of a data warehouse: the design process, the development process, the change, and also the deployment process. And this works in a graphical user interface. You will see after that. AnalyticsCreator replaces old-fashioned ETL technologies. You don't need any more ETL. Maybe for the import process, but for the other processes, it's not necessary anymore. This saves a lot of cost and time, of course. Yeah, some USPs. I would say these are the important USPs from our perspective. There are many more. It's different to the customer, but from our side, I think it's very important to know for the customer that AnalyticsCreator is a pure design time tool. Yeah, there is no runtime in place. So when you use AnalyticsCreator to create a data warehouse, and if you delete AnalyticsCreator, everything will work smoothly. Why? Because we generate pure source code, and the source code will deploy it into the Azure or Microsoft SQL Server, and no runtime is necessary. We are focusing 100% on the Microsoft stack. So we focus in all energy on this. We don't place other technologies like Oracle or something for target data warehouses. Our target data warehouse is Microsoft and Azure stack and also SQL Server, Power BI, and so on. Yeah, of course, you can use any kind of data sources. Of course, Oracle, other Excel files, CSV files, Navision, and everything, but the target is always Microsoft. There are also very many high sophisticated modeling approaches, like data vault you can use, and Kimball. Also, we have, I would say, a mixed modeling approach, which is very nice when you mix data vault and Kimball approach together. There is a nice thing that you have the ability to create your own add-ons on AnalyticsCreator. So if you miss something, yeah, you can use the open repository where we save the modeling of AnalyticsCreator, and out of that you can do whatever you want with this code. For example, we have a partner. He write a generator for MariaDB, yeah, another target system. So maybe you find from our partners the possibility to go to other target databases, yeah, or you do it by yourself. So I show you now here the most common use cases with AnalyticsCreator. Of course, the greenfield approach is the most common. Yeah. If you have nothing in place, you want to grow up a new data warehouse, it's very easy to do it. Second, it's very common to modernize an existing data warehouse. A lot of companies have some staging areas, small data warehouses, and they want to give them a new architecture, to increase the performance, and to enrich it with new modeling approaches. Yeah, further do I would say advanced analytics. Yeah, and for this you need a data warehouse, a high sophisticated data warehouse with slowly changing dimension, historization concepts, and this is what AnalyticsCreator bring. And we can I would say import or copy the code from the old data warehouse into AnalyticsCreator and generate a new data warehouse. Yeah. Also, we call it reverse engineering. It's not fully automated, of course. Yeah, but it's possible. Yeah. As you know, we automate the full Microsoft BI stack. A lot of customers use our SAP approach, yeah, to create, I would say in Azure or on SQL Server, a data warehouse from SAP sources. This is something which works really very smoothly. Yeah, we use also third-party connector from our company Theobald. In the last years, Azure is coming more and more to many customers. AnalyticsCreator help you to shift your data warehouse into Azure Cloud. Yeah, this works also very smoothly. And more and more questions we have got in the past for new real-time data warehouses. this is also possible. There is also a video on YouTube which you can see. Yeah, this is comparison between traditional approach to AnalyticsCreator approach. So you can imagine there are significant reduction in time and costs, and of course risk reductions. Yeah, this is a slide from Bosch. They have a data management survey. This is from the year 2019. We have also one in the year 2020 and now 21. We just get the results 1 week ago. So we won, yeah, this survey, I would say, and we are in the right upper corner. You see AnalyticsCreator as a big bullet on the right corner. Oh, I have no idea why SAP is there. SAP don't have a data automation technology, but maybe, I don't know. They have more money than the others, and they want to have a bullet point maybe there. Yeah, something about the history about AnalyticsCreator. The idea of data automation was founded in the year 2008. This was in the company before, in the company Ascension. It's a consulting company where many customers use this approach. The product was developed year by year in new releases, and we learned a lot from the project. And 2017, we decided to found a new company with the brand AnalyticsCreator. And in this company, we do just the development of the product, yeah, and the distribution of the product worldwide. Yeah, we have no big consultancy. We have trainers, of course, we have videos, but the consulting was done by our partners and also by the customers, by themselves, by the internal BI team, of course. Some brands, some logos of companies which use AnalyticsCreator. For example, Provencial is a very nice one. They use AnalyticsCreator more than 2 years, 3 years now, with 5-6 people, development parallel. Yeah, this is now a technical page. You see some layers of a data warehouse, which AnalyticsCreator is processing from the storage layer to the core, to the data mart, also to the tabular and OLAP cubes. Also, we create models for Tableau, for Click, and TM1. Yeah. I think now it's a good time to make a hand over to Dimitri. So Dimitri will start with his presentation.
Sorry, I forgot to.
Okay, too.
I hope you can hear me now and you can see my screen.
Yep.
Okay, very well then. Okay. Well, I will start my presentation. Today we will try to create the new data warehouse, and then I will show you how you can deploy your data warehouse on Azure. We will create the Azure SQL Server database as a data warehouse database, and then we will create the Power BI model on Microsoft Power BI Cloud. Okay, then let's start. First, I will create the new repository. Let's call it TMO Azure. And then I will take the very known, good known Microsoft demo database, AdventureWorks 2016, and use it as data source for my data warehouse. This database is located on my SQL server. You can see this is this one, and we will use it as data source for our new data warehouse. This is a pretty typical demo approach.
So, Dimitri, like I have a question. So good to
Yes,
ask, right?
please.
Yeah. So I think like right now, for example, in demo, we are referring to transactional data set, correct? It's a transactional data set. So,
Yes, this is a SQL Server database.
okay.
You can call it transactional data set, of course.
Yeah. So, in case of unstructured data, need to be cleansed before creating a repository, or the repository itself will take care of unstructured data set too.
If you first, sometimes, for example, you have such unstructured data stored in text files or in Excel files. Sure, you can import the unstructured data into the SQL Server database. Then the data will be stored in the tables. For example, every table will have only one column containing the unstructured data, and then on the next step it will be something like a raw staging layer, and such approach I saw already several times. And for example, you have the Excel files containing some documentation information, and you import the Excel files as is into your SQL Server tables, and then, of course, you can extract the data from such unstructured. But this is okay. Using AnalyticsCreator, you can do that, but you should take yourself about how you can extract the data from such unstructured, unstructured data. I mean, it is not. AnalyticsCreator is only the tool to which will help you to import the data, or which will help to create the transformations. But for us today, I will use structurized data imported from AdventureWorks database. And to do that, first I will create the new connector. AdventureWorks. This is a SQL server, and here I can I should set the connection string to my data source. In our case, this is AdventureWorks 2016. I hope. Okay, test connection successfully established. And this is a typical approach when you work with AnalyticsCreator. First, you will add the connector, and then you can call the data warehouse wizard, and this wizard will help you to create the draft version of your data warehouse. There are the tables and views in our AdventureWorks database, and I will take some of them from the human resources schema, and then I will create the Kimball data warehouse. I will import the data, I will historicize the data, I will create the dimensions using every table we import, and then I will create some fact transformation using these three tables. Okay, and next, okay, and then finish. If we will, okay, we have some presentations where I explain explain more about how to create such data warehouse. Today we will do it without. Okay, I mean briefly, and now you can see. Okay. Well, we create. Sorry, I forgot to create the fact transformations, but we will create the fact transformations manually. You can see there are this is a typical layer diagram of the data warehouse. We imported in the source layer. You can see our data sources. Staging layer contains our imported data. Persistent staging layer contains the historized data. Core layer contains the transformations. These blue squares, they are the transformations. The typical transformations in AnalyticsCreator are the views. And for example, this transformation, this is a tabular definition of this transformation, but AnalyticsCreator will generate the views based on the definition. And this view, this is a typical transformation in AnalyticsCreator. We support the automatically generated views. You can create the views manually. We support SQL scripts and storage procedures as transformations, and additionally, you can create your own integration service packages and inject them into AnalyticsCreator repository and use such manually created integration service packages as transformations. But usually, it is absolutely enough to use the views as transformations. Okay, and the next step, I will create some fact transformations. Okay, I will use, for example, let's take this employee department history table, historize the table, and create the fact transformation based on this table. Okay, selected this table, and now I will create the transformation. Okay, the fact transformation. And the next step, I can include all tables related to this table into my transformation. There are department, employee, and shift tables which have relationship to the employee department history table. The relationships were gotten. We loaded the relationships from the AdventureWorks database, and now we can use them in our data warehouse. Okay. Well, I created now this fact transformation. You can see there are the tables participating in this fact transformation. On the right side, we can see the relations used to connect the tables together, and we expose the surrogate keys from every table in this transformation. Okay, save. Then I will add one more fact transformation. Fact employee department by history. Okay, sorry, I forgot something. Delete. I forgot to add the tables to this transformation. Add transformation. Fact, add direct related, and then finish. Yes. And one more fact transformation which I will create is job candidate transformation. Fact. Okay, next. Related tables, finish. Okay, let me synchronize my data warehouse. When I click on synchronize data warehouse, empty database having the structure which I defined in my repository will be created, and okay, the different checks will be performed. Okay, well, now we have some kind of draft data warehouse. Let me add some more properties to our fact transformations. For example, employee department history. I will add some data, some calendar dimensions to this table. In the first table, in the employee department history table, we have, for example, two date fields containing start and end date when the employer started to work in the specific department and when the employer finished to work. And but instead to use the date fields, I will have here ID from calendar dimensions. Calendar dimensions was created by Wizard during by Wizard. To do that, I have to add calendar macro, and I will call it FK start date and date. Very well.
So by default, it will do the SCD type 2.
Sorry, could you repeat your question?
Yeah, by default, it will do the SCD type 2, like slowly changing dimension type 2.
By default, if you have the date time columns and if you have the calendar dimensions, do you see there is a calendar dimensions which was created by the Wizard? You can add calendar dimension every time when you click on add and then calendar dimensions, you can define the new calendar dimension. And together with calendar dimension, there is the macro. We have this is a own functionality of AnalyticsCreator, the macros. And for example, we have here the macro date to ID. This macro will convert. This macro is something very simple. This is just a SQL Server statement where the specific parts were replaced by placeholder. This double.1, this is a placeholder, and when we call this macro, this double.1 will be replaced by the first parameter. And if we have the double.2, for example, the double.2 will be replaced by the second parameter and so on. This macro will convert the date into ID from calendar dimension. And in our transformation, we do you see the statement column, and we just called the date to ID macro, and as a parameter we have the start date from our transformation from the first table from employee department history, and we take a look on our view. In the view, this macro call was replaced by the macro statement, and the double.1 was replaced by T1 start date. This is very simple but very powerful mechanism how to create such small transformation bricks using macros. And here we just our goal is to have in this fact transformation the ID from calendar dimension according the start date and end date, and we just did it. Okay, the same we can do, for example. Okay, one moment, please. Here, for example, employee pay history, I think we have stop. No, that's the wrong one. This is the dimension, the fact employee pay history. For example, here we have one rate change date column, and here we can add calendar macro, and we will call it FK rate change date. Very good. Well, and now let me synchronize my data warehouse. In our case, we have two fact transformations, and the first fact transformation, employee department history, has two data fields, and these two data fields should be bound to the calendar dimensions. And to do that, okay, Okay, now I will what I will do now is related to the Power BI model, which we will generate later. I will bind the employee department history transformation to the calendar dimension. Usually, the relationships between the effects and transformation will be done automatically by AnalyticsCreator, but in our case, we have two different calendar dimensions field, and then they should be connected to two different calendar dimensions. In our case, then I should click on the T square here on the right side of the effect transformation, and I see here the columns exposed by my effect transformation. Here is the end date and start date. AnalyticsCreator bounded the one of the fields to the calendar dimensions. You can see here in the column all preference, the start date was bound to the calendar dimension, but the end date field was not bound because you cannot bind two different columns with the same table. And in this case, we should create the new dimension based on calendar dimension. We will call it June end date, for example. Okay. Okay, let me give the friendly names and date. Here, start it to the new fields. Okay, and now you can see the calendar dimension will be present in our data mart layer by two different dimensions, end date by and dim end date and dim calendar. Let's rename dim calendar into dim start date. Okay, I will do it very quick. Start it. Okay. Well, after I refresh, okay, after refreshment, the names will be refreshed. Okay, one more thing which I will do, I will we have here the RAT change date. This rate change date was bound to the dim calendar dimension. This is wrong, and it will create the new calendar dimension as called dim rate change. Okay. Well, let me synchronize my data warehouse. And now the structure of the data warehouse is almost done. It's almost completed. You can see we have three different calendar dimensions, start date, end date, and rate change date. Okay, one more thing which I will do, I will add some measures to our effect transformations. Okay, here in measures, for example, I can create some measures like distinct count of department and distinct count of employer. You can see the measure name. Surely you can add your own measure name, or you can use a special functionality of AnalyticsCreator. We can generate the measure names for you because the measure names should be unique in the Power BI model. And in this case, you can use such templates like aggregation name, column name, table name, and the parsed measure name, how the measure will be called in the Power BI model. You can see here in this column, parsed measure name. This is a pretty nice feature which can save your time. Okay, save changes, and let's do it here too. We will add some measures. Okay, employer, distinct count, and the last one. Not employer, this is job candidate, but employer, distinct count. Okay. Okay, now I think our model is ready, is and we can deploy it. First, usually to deploy the model, we should generate the deployment package, and now we will do it. We will generate deployment package, and let's generate 2 deployment packages. One moment, please. One thing, there is one additional thing which I will do. We have here some fact transformations. Transformations are pretty complex. They join several tables together, and to speed our access to such transformations, I will persist the transformations. That means I will add persisting. Okay, and persisting process will store content of the view in the table. Okay, one more thing. Add persisting. And the next one is add persisting transformation. Persisting PS1. Okay, synchronize. Okay, now you can see the content of the employee department history fact transformation during the ETL process will be stored in the table fact employee department history T, and the same will happen with 2 other fact transformations. Well, and now we will generate deployment package. The first deployment package we will generate, this is a local deployment. And in this package, deployment package, I will deploy my data warehouse on premise. I have here my SQL Server, you can see it, and I have here the SQL Server analysis services, and I will deploy my data warehouse there. Okay, let's call it, okay, EV as the name of the data warehouse where we will deploy. We will generate the DECPAC file containing the definition of our database. We will deploy, it is not necessary to deploy directly from AnalyticsCreator, but you can deploy directly from AnalyticsCreator. Usually we do it when we have some kind of development environment, and you can deploy into your development environment directly from AnalyticsCreator. Okay, the name of the server is v4. Database name where we will deploy into is AV. Okay, then we will generate the tabular OLAP cube on the server as v4 tabular, and the name of the database, let's call it AV2. Then I have to add here the name of the user, which will be used to process OLAP cube. You can do it later in your cube manually, or you can do it directly here in AnalyticsCreator. Okay, and the compatibility level of the OLAP cube, create cube during deployment. In case you only generate the XMLA script, the cube will be not created, but the XMLA script will be generated, and you can run this XMLA script against your tabular OLAP server, and the OLAP database will be generated. Okay, then what we will do additionally, we will generate integration service packages, and we will generate and deploy SSS configuration table and SSS configuration. Okay, we will use environment variable to configure and our integration service packages and so on. This is a pretty typical step and the typical approach. Okay, I hope I forgot nothing, and let let me generate the deployment package. Well, deck pack file will be generated. Let me open the directory where I generate my deployment package. You can see this is a directory to generate deployment package. And every time when we generate the new deployment package, the subdirectory will be created. This is this one. And let's take a look what happened there. First, we can see there is a deckpack file. Deckpack file. This is the file containing the database definition, and you can later deploy this file manually using SQL Server Management Studio, or using the special command string utility SQL command .exe. This is a part of SQL Server installation, and you can deploy the deckpack file everywhere on premise or on Azure. Well, okay. Now the packages will, okay, the OLAP cube was already generated, and the database was already created. Let's take a look. Databases, refresh. And you can see there is this AV database. This database was created by AnalyticsCreator during deployment. Important is if you already have the AV database on your computer, then this database will be not dropped and new generated, but it will be upgraded, or the changes will be deployed. But this is the normal deployment process, and in case database is not exist, the database will be generated. Otherwise, the structure of the database will be upgraded to the new structure. Okay, then our OLAP cube should be created. Let me take a look. Yes, this is our OLAP database. It was generated right now, and then let me open Visual Studio. In the Visual Studio, when we open, we can load our integration service packages which were generated. We will open the solution generated by AnalyticsCreator project. Okay, CS deployment. You can see this is this Visual Studio solution, or SQL Server Data Tools solution generated by AnalyticsCreator. And here you can see the integration service packages. One of them is a workflow package. Workflow package is the package, the only package which you should start, and all other packages will be automatically launched in this workflow package. You can see this is import package, historizing package, persisting package, and if you work on premise, the only workflow package you have to launch, and your ETL process will be performed. Okay, this is our import package. Let's open it, and you can see for every table which we import, there is a specific container, and all imports will be performed parallelly. And well, this is a pretty typical solution which usually we generate when you work on premise. This is a Visual Studio solution containing the integration service packages, containing the deckpack file with the structure of your data warehouse, containing this XMLA file, having the structure of your OLAP cube. In our case, tabular OLAP cube, but we can generate some multi-dimensional OLAP cubes too. There are some more SQL files containing the configuration of integration service packages. This is a content of SSS configuration table. This is pretty typical. But now we will do the same and but we will deploy on Azure. And let's do it. First, I will copy my deployment package. I'll duplicate it. Okay, refresh. I just duplicated my deployment package and we'll call it Azure. Save. And now we will deploy on Azure. Okay, first we will deploy not locally, but we should enter here the name of our Azure server. We have the Azure server, and this is this one. And I will copy. Okay, connect. Let me show you what do we have on our Azure server. On our Azure server, we have the empty database AV. Sure, I can generate the new database, but this database AV, this is an empty database. You can see there is no objects in this database. This database is a part of our, what is the name? This flexible, not flexible, elastic SQL Server pool. And this is important that the database already exists, and we will deploy into the existing empty Azure database. Okay, the server name is AnalyticsCreator database, We will use standard security, or you can use Azure Active Directory security, or if you have very strange okay, you can use your own connection string to connect to your Azure database, but usually standard or Azure Active Directory security can be used to deploy. Okay, then we'll enter here. Back my credentials. Okay, this is the first thing what we will do. The next thing, instead to use integration service packages, we will generate the Azure Data Factory template containing the pipelines which we can launch and then we will perform our RTL process using Azure Data Factory pipelines instead of integration service packages. Of course, you can continue to use integration service packages. Sometimes it is the only way. For example, if you import from SAP at the moment, only integration service packages can be used because the Azure Data Factory driver for SAP is I would say has some restrictions regarding the amount of data which can be imported. But our packages which we generate there can be deployed onto the Azure Data Factory too. But in our demo, we will generate only Azure Data Factory pipelines, and then we will use them. Okay, and the next step, what we have done, instead to deploy on to our analysis service, we will deploy directly to the Power BI. We have the Power BI. Let me show it to you. This is the Power BI web page of AnalyticsCreator company, and in this Power BI we have the one workspace. This is the empty workspace which we prepared for our demo. There is no data sets in this workspace, but very important, we have the Power BI Premium subscription, and when we use Power BI Premium subscription, we can access the Power BI endpoint from outside, and we can deploy our models directly onto the Power BI. And to be able to deploy into the Power BI, you should you should have the Premium subscription. It's a pretty cheap subscription, I would say. But okay. Anyway, there is such possibility, and I have to use this connection string here in my as the server. Okay, this is the name of the database. The login will be my login for Power BI. This is Dmitry Sorokin at analyticscreator.com. This is my password. Important is we have to select the new compatibility level here, the Power BI compatibility level. Create cube during deployment, yes, and I hope it is what. Okay, we don't need to deploy access configuration, we can do it, but no environment variable. Okay, I hope I forgot nothing, and let me deploy. As you saw, the only what we did, we add here the name of our SQL server on Azure and the Power BI XML endpoint, and now this is the only what you have to do. Okay, additionally later we will deploy our Azure Data Factory pipeline, which we, not pipeline, but Azure Data Factory ARM template onto the Power BI, onto the Azure Data Factory. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, what happens? Okay, the OLAP database will be generated. Okay. Okay, OLAP. Okay, we are ready. Okay, then let's take a look. What do we have? First, our database. This is this AV database, which was empty prior to deploy the changes. Now, okay, you can see this is the structure of our data warehouse. Data warehouse was deployed onto the Azure database. Then let's take a look on our Power BI endpoint, or we can do it here in Power BI. Okay, oops. Yes, you can see there is a new data set generated by AnalyticsCreator. This is this data set. This is our tabular OLAP database, or in this case, this is a Power BI data set or Power BI model, which we just deployed onto our Power BI. Okay, but now we have to our database here, which we generated, our database, our SQL Server database is still empty. Let's take a look on, okay, for example, imp employer. This table is empty, and we have to export the data from our local SQL Server from the database AdventureWorks 2016 to the Azure database, to the database AV on our Azure SQL Server. How we can do that? First, first, let's take a look on the Visual Studio solution which we just generated. This is this Visual Studio solution, and you can see there is a one file called demo Azure JSON. This is the ARM template which we generated. This is the ARM template for Azure Data Factory. And let's open our Azure Data Factory. Okay, this is an empty Azure Data Factory called AC Factory. This is the Azure. The only what we have here in this Azure Data Factory, there are some integration runtimes. The first integration runtime, this is this auto-resolve integration runtime. This is always a part of every Data Factory instance, and usually using this auto-resolve integration runtime, we can access our Azure SQL servers. And additionally, we have here two integration runtimes, and the second integration runtime can access the data stored on our local SQL server. This integration server and runtime, you can take a look on it. Okay, this is the runtime which is bound to our demo SQL server to our demo server and accordingly to our demo SRv4 server. According integration runtime integration runtime is running on my here on this server, and using this instance of integration server runtime running on this demo server, our Azure environment, our Azure Data Factory can access the data stored on this server. Well, you can see in this Azure Data Factory there are three, in our case, interesting are two integration runtimes and nothing more. We can take a look. There are no pipelines, no data sets, and so on. There is no linked services. Nothing is here. And now, what we will do? Come on. Okay. We will import ARM template. Import ARM template, which this template was generated by AnalyticsCreator. Okay, build your own template and load file. Here, I will select the demo Azure JSON file generated right now. And okay, this and now I will execute it. Okay, I should select the resource group and factory name. Our factory name is called AC Factory, where we will deploy into. Okay, review and create. Validation passed, and now we can click on create. It will take a couple of minutes. And now the Azure template containing the definition of, okay, your deployment is complete. Go to the resource group. Okay, and now let's take a look. Okay, we can close it. This is our data factory. Let's refresh it. Let's take a look. What do we have here now? First, and we should configure additionally something. Okay, first we have two linked services now in our Azure Data Factory. The first of them, this is the data set, or sorry, a linked service bound, which should be bound to our on-premise integration service runtime. And the second one, this is a DWH linked service, should be bound to our Azure data warehouse. Okay, let's do it. First, this is our DWH linked service. We will bind it to our auto resolve integration runtime. This is a runtime to connect to our Azure database. Okay, we will use our Azure subscription. Okay, server name is AnalyticsCreator, database name. This is this AV database which we just deployed. And authentication type, we will use SQL Server authentication and password. Okay, apply. Well, and the same thing we have to do with our AV linked service. We should bind this linked service to our data source. To do it, we will use integration service runtime 2. server name is SRV4, database name is AdventureWorks, and we will use Windows authentication. Okay. And my password. Okay. Let me test connection. Connection successful. Apply. Okay, we just bound our two linked services exposed by our ARM template to integration service runtime. We bound our source and target databases. Okay, welcome. Okay, let's take a look on the pipelines generated by AnalyticsCreator or on the environment generated by AnalyticsCreator. First, we have here the different data sets. Data sets are grouped into two directories. First, we have here our sources. And you can see, for example, human resources department, human resources employer. Let's take a look on it. Okay, well, this is our human resources department table from our local AdventureWorks database. Okay, let me see. I can, if I can preview the data. Yes, I can do it. You can see our connection is working. There are the data from the department table on my local SQL Server SRV4. Okay, then the next directory is DWH tables, and you can see here all the different schemas in our data AdventureWorks data warehouse, AV data warehouse. For example, there are the import tables, there are the staging tables, there are our different tables, the persisted tables in our TWH schema and so on. And here we have the different pipelines. We generate the pipelines which have the same structure like the integration service packages. For example, instead of integration service package imp AV1, we generate the pipeline imp AV1, and here you can see we import the data in this pipeline from the different tables. Okay, we have the historizing pipeline, which will historize the data and so on. And additionally, here is a workflow pipeline, which call other pipelines in the correct order. And the only we have to do is we have to start this workflow package. Okay, let me do it. And I hope everything will work. Okay, I started our workflow package. And let's wait. Okay, package will be executed. Come on. In progress. Data will be imported. Okay, data import was successful. Now we historicize the data. Okay, now we persist the data and come on. Our SQL Server instance is pretty small, and therefore it needs more time. But okay, you can see our workflow package was completed successfully. And now let's take a look on our data in our moment. Where is my database? This is this one, sorry. Okay, and if I take a look on my IM department table in our Azure database, come on. I can see the table is filled up. Okay, now let's go to the Power BI and let's refresh our data set. Sorry, I can do it here. Data set. We refresh now. Okay, refreshing, refreshed. Okay, and let's create the new report. Well, you can see this is the structure of our okay, you can see there are the tables from our Power BI model or tabular OLAP model. This is almost the same. And let's take something, I don't know, department, group name. Okay, I don't know, name. Let's take employee department history. Stop, wrong one. Okay, this is our fact transformation. There are some measures like existing count of employer, and you can see our Power BI model is ready, and we can create the reports and so on. Now we have poor Azure environment generated by AnalyticsCreator. We generated the Azure database, SQL Server database. We generated the Power BI model. This is this one, Azure. Okay, don't say this. This is this data set in this workspace. This is the Power BI model. And then we generated the Azure Data Factory ARM template and deployed it onto Azure Data Factory. And now we can call this Azure Data Factory pipeline, and our ETL process will be done using Azure Data Factory. And the model remains the same. We have only two different, we have only two different deployment packages, which we use to deploy the same model, the same structure to the local SQL Server or local tabular OLAP server. In this case, we can use Power BI Desktop, for example, or we can deploy onto Azure. Sure, you can deploy, you can create the mixed deployment approaches, the mixed deployment configurations. For example, you can deploy your database onto the Azure, but still continue to use integration service packages to maintain your ETL processes, to run your ETL processes. You can continue to use, for example, I don't know, the local SQL Server database, but use Power BI in cloud. Such it is possible too, of course. As I said, everything can be deployed either on premise or on Azure, and you can combine the different kind of deployments. Okay, I think I finished my demo. If you have questions, please, you can ask me.
Dimitri, there was a question from Peter. He cannot speak. I think he has some problems with his phone. Okay. Will ADO.NET connection strings be supported?
Yes. 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 Oops, sorry. One moment, please. Here is one important property. This is our connector, edit connector. And here in this connector, you can explicitly set the Azure source type. For example, imagine we worked, for example, with, I don't know, Informix database. In AnalyticsCreator, we would use, in this case, ODBC connector. But, for example, in Azure, there is one specific data connector, especially for, I don't know, Informix or I don't know, for MongoDB or for MariaDB, for example. Instead, and in this case, when we generate the Azure Data Factory pipelines, this connector Azure source type will be used instead of, for example, ODBC. And therefore, you can create your own mapping into the Azure source types. This is the first thing. And the next important thing here, and there's one step which I performed manually. This is this link of linked services which we generated to the integration service runtimes. And here you can, for example, imagine you have the data source which you can access from your Azure Data Factory using the specific Data Factory runtime or tribe. And during this mapping, you can you can map the AnalyticsCreator data sources with Azure data sources. As I said, we can do it almost automatically using Azure source type, or you can do it manually during the mapping of data sources to integration service or runtimes. This is the one way.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay.
You have another questions?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe another one?
I have a question. This is Helmut here, Dimitri.
Yes.
Thank you for the interesting demonstration. I've only just one question. If you change now something in the first deployment, how many steps you have to do afterwards to deploy?
Yeah.
The Power BI, yes.
Okay. No. Okay. Well, what I will do first, imagine we add one more data source. For example, let's do it just no problem. Okay. For example, read source from. Let's add one more table. I don't know, person address, for example. Okay, finish. Okay, now we have person address here in our connector. We will import it using the same integration service package or pipeline. Okay, we imported this address table. Let's add the historization. I don't know, historization. We will historize in the same package or, as I said, pipeline, because in case data factory, it will be the pipeline. Okay, historization is complete. And now let's create the dimension transformation. It will be dimension dim address. And okay. And let's use this dimension in our data star. Okay. One moment, I have to synchronize. I just changed my model by adding one new data source. This data source is still not bound to any fact transformation, but we can deploy the changes now. It is a very important question, how we can deploy the changes, not the new model, but the changes. Okay, let's go into the deployment package Azure. And now the only we have to do, okay, is click on to deploy. What will be done? First, the deckpack file will be generated, and this deckpack file, there is a new import table, new historizing table, and so on. And now the changes will be deployed onto our Azure database, because there is a checkbox deploy deckpack is checked. Otherwise, I can deploy manually, but in our case, I deployed directly from AnalyticsCreator. And let's take a look. One moment. It's already it's already done. And when I refresh the structure, I see there is what is the name of team imp address, I think was the name of the table which we just imported. The table is here. Okay, the table is still empty. Let's take a look. Script.
No problem. Just
yes.
Show us the next steps to deploy it in.
Exactly. Then I have to. Okay, first I just did. I deployed the changes onto our database. Okay. Okay, we are already okay. Okay, our OLAP cube, I hope, was refreshed too. Let me connect to our Power BI OLAP cube. I can connect to the Power BI OLAP cube directly from Management Studio. I do it right now. Come on. Okay. Okay. Come on. Oops.
Can you go directly to Data Factory?
No, I'm trying to connect to our Power BI. Did you see we have this Power BI? And in case I use the Power BI Premium, not Premium, Power BI. Okay, wait a moment. Where is my data set? There was something wrong. Sorry. Okay. We tried to create the OLAP cube, but there was something wrong. One moment with the one column, and this is, I think, there is some strange geography. Exactly. The Power BI does not support the geography tube, and we have this is very easy. We will delete this geography. What is the name? Sorry, of this column. This is spatial location. We will delete the spatial location from our transformation, or okay, save. And now I hope there is no. Okay, all other data types are I hope are okay. Deployment package, Azure. Okay, the only okay, and now I will only deploy the OLAP cube, because okay, deploy the OLAP cube. Let me try to deploy the OLAP cube, create tabular OLAP DB. I hope now it should. But instead to deploy directly, yes, now it's we are ready, and let's try. And now we have our data set, and this data set already has this new table. And okay, databases. We can see. Okay, come on, refresh. I have to disconnect. Yeah, no problem. It's not our bug, but the bug of Microsoft. I like Microsoft bugs. because it's not our bags. Okay, yes, and now we can see this is a new AV database, and there is a new DIM address. You can see it. And now we should deploy our Azure Data Factory again. In this case, it is better to switch on the support of there is a version controlling support in the Azure Data Factory. Exactly this Git configuration, it would be better to turn on this support of this versioning support. We would deploy our Data Factory ARM template. We would commit the changes. As I said, it is pretty easy. It's pretty easy when you deploy everything from AnalyticsCreator and deploy the changes. It is because not only the new data warehouse can be created by AnalyticsCreator, but this is a tool for the whole life cycle of your data warehouse.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome, welcome.
Is there another question? Then I have a question.
You have a question.
Yeah,
okay.
From a customer. He's not here, and he wants just to see in a video, just in 1-2 minutes, to add a new column in a dimension. Yeah. And to maybe do some validations in the column. Yeah. Just to add a new column and some calculations maybe or some.
Okay, let's do it. For example, we have our fact transformation here, and let's add the new column to this fact transformation. For example, we will check. There is one moment in the table employee department history. There is an end date column, and we will check if, for example, I can add here the one statement case when this end date, instead to use, I can write here T1 end date. Okay, let's do it. T1 end date greater than get date, or better, less than get date, then else one end. That means, for example, and we call it is employer.
Over end date.
Okay, but I will only know if this employer is still working in the department or is working. Just I just check the end date, the date of when the employer left the specific department. In this case, it will be 0. In case otherwise, it will be 1. Okay.
That's nice. Yeah.
Okay, and now we can see there is a the view was extended by this column. We can and now let me first, what I have to do, save changes. Yes, I will synchronize my data warehouse. Very well. Let me take a look on my fact transformation. You can see in the fact, this is a model practice for my OLAP cube. There is a one new field is working, and let's create the new measure based on this field. For example, we will take is working and the sum, save, and now we have sum of is working. Okay, let's rename it just is. But oh no, why not? The sum of is working. Okay, I just added the new column and created the new measure based on this column. And now let's deploy the changes. Okay, save, deploy, and you can see the changes will be deployed.
Yes, that's an easy thing.
It's
I can
easy.
show it customer next day.
But maybe you instead to believe me, let's take a look of if the changes really will be performed, because maybe, but you can believe me. The table, okay, all tables and views. Oops. Do you see? This is a very typical problem. We are trying to add the new column. We tried to add the new column to the transformation. Sorry, to let me explain. This is a very typical error during deployment. We just added the new column to the existing transformation. This is working, and this column is not nullable. And now the table fact employee department history contains the data. This is a persisted table containing the data from this table is containing data. Let me take a look on this table. This is this one, fact employee department history. This is okay, not this one, sorry, in our here, fact employee department history. Do you see this table contains data, and we are trying to deploy the changes, and we are trying to add new column, and this new column is not nullable. And AnalyticsCreator or this deployment engine does not, he don't know which data should be added to this column. Okay, what we can do, we should, okay, but we can, the easiest way what we can do now, let me do it. We will truncate this table. This table will be filled up during the next ETL process. Truncate table. There are some more opportunities. We can add the default value for this field and so on, but during demo, the easiest way is just to truncate the table, and let's do it. And I hope now the deployment will be successful. But it is really pretty typical situation. And this is usually if you have to deploy your changes, instead to deploy directly from AnalyticsCreator, you can only create the deckpack file, and then you can deploy this deckpack file manually, and you during deployment you can process such, or you can fix such bugs very easy by okay. Well, now the deployment was successful, and now we can see the table fact employee department history has, for example, refresh, has a new column. This is working, is here, and our Power BI model has this column too, and so on. The changes were deployed. Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome.
Are there some other questions? Okay, if not, then we will close this session. I have just one request to the audience. If you have any idea or wishes you want to see in a demo, just send us an email with your wishes, and we will think about it to do a special demo for the cases you would like. Yeah. I want to point also to our annual AnalyticsCreator Congress. It's on the 4th and the 5th November. It's in 2 months. It takes place early in the morning, 9 o'clock, something like this, on 2 days, every day, 3.5-hour sessions from customers and from partners. Yeah, I hope you will join this AnalyticsCreator Congress too. There are a lot of new things we will talk about, and yeah, I hope you liked the demo, and you will join us the next time too. I wish you a really nice weekend, and I hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Dimitri. Thanks, Peter. It was really good to see. Yeah,
Thank you.
A package solution in a one screen. So that's a really great effort. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank
Okay,
you.
then.
Bye-bye.
Nice day and bye-bye.